That is a good way to put it. Good evening, Jen. We're here at Washington University, a very beautiful campus here in St. Louis. And just a few minutes ago, I saw some of the kids out here playing a little bit of football and a little bit of Frisbee and all of that with a political backdrop. And it's kind of a metaphor, if you will, to sort of the crazy games this election has taken in the past 24 hours. Of course, on the Clinton side of things, you have the WikiLeaks release of a lot of information, some of those excerpts of closed-door speeches that Hillary Clinton gave to Wall Street execs a couple years ago. But by and large, the biggest bombshell of this entire election season so far has been the release of those taped conversations by Donald Trump with very vulgar language regarding women. Well, today you have a lot of people calling for Donald Trump to drop out of this race. You have a lot of top Republicans dropping their support for Donald Trump. But what you don't have is Donald Trump dropping out at all. He vowed never to quit. Sure to dominate the debate, this Trump's apology.
I said it. I was wrong. And I apologize.
The Republican presidential candidate forced to say sorry for making crude comments about women more than 10 years ago when he did not realize he was being recorded.
I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it.
Today, the Trump campaign is reeling. Some prominent Republicans blasting the nominee and saying they will no longer support the candidate. Others even calling on him to drop out of the race. With exactly 1 month to go until Election Day, how will this bombshell affect the presidential race?
And all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony and everything. She's totally changed her look.
After those outrageous remarks, finally, a contrite Trump.
I've said and done things I regret. And the words released today on this more than a decade-old video are one of them.
But the apologies quickly turned into an attack.
Bill Clinton has actually abused women, and Hillary has bullied, attacked, shamed, and intimidated his victims.
The nominee's brief apology, believed to be unprecedented in his public life, came after a 2005 tape conversation and then Access Hollywood host Billy Bush surfaced, in which Trump brags about groping women, laughing off an effort to seduce Access Hollywood's Nancy O'Dell.
It's huge news there.
No, Nancy. Yeah. No, this was, and I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping. She wanted to get some furniture. I said, I'll show you where they have some nice furniture. I took her out furniture. I moved on her like a but I couldn't get there.
The comments caught on a hot mic during a publicity tour in 2005, 8 months after he married his third wife, Melania, who was already pregnant. Overnight, a deluge of GOP condemnation, leaving Trump no other choice but to repent. One campaign staffer calling it, quote, their very own hurricane. GOP Chairman Reince Priebus saying, quote, no woman should ever be described in these terms or talked about in this manner. Ever. And Paul Ryan disinviting Trump from a scheduled appearance in Wisconsin today, saying that he is, quote, sickened. Utah's former and sitting Republican governor, along with Republican Congressman Jason Chaffetz and Senator Mike Lee, revoking their support.
I'm out. It's sad, really, but I can't endorse Donald Trump for president after those comments and the way he said them.
Swing state operatives are calling this the end, and some high-profile voices even demanding that he drop out. But Trump is not leaving.
We will discuss this more in the coming days. See you at the debate on Sunday.
And he reiterated that today with a tweet saying that he will never, ever quit. His wife, Melania Trump, also releasing a statement today saying she's standing by him, though she says the words are unacceptable and offensive to her. She hopes that the American people can forgive him as she has. And again, this is all going to be talked about, I'm absolutely sure, at this debate tomorrow night here at Washington University. Jim?
Oh, thank you, Rod. Rod Carter live at Washington University in St. Louis.
Yeah, you know, a couple of weeks ago, Jen, you'll remember we covered the debate at Hofstra University in Hempstead, New York, and I said then that the first debate was going to be epic. Well, I think given all that's happened in the past 24 hours, using the word epic might be underselling round two.
I said it, I was wrong, and I apologize.
Donald Trump apologizing for vulgar comments caught on tape 11 years ago, talking to then Access Hollywood host Billy Bush. He did not realize he was being recorded.
I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the
So the stage is set. We're doing final checks.
Inside the debate hall at Washington University in St. Louis, preps are underway for round two of the presidential debates. Sure to come up, Trump's comments, apology, and now his staunch stand never to quit, despite repeated calls from members of the GOP to drop out.
We will discuss this more in the coming days. See you at the debate on Sunday.
Peter Eyre with the Commission on Presidential Debates told me it's a town hall style debate.
look and feel very different than the first debate.
It features questions from 40 uncommitted St. Louis voters who will sit either side of those candidates.
Mr. Trump will be on the left, and Secretary Clinton will be on the right.
There will also be questions from the moderators, Martha Raddatz, Chief Global Affairs Correspondent and co-anchor of This Week on ABC, and CNN anchor Anderson Cooper. Neither candidate, though, knows what those questions will be.
Not the candidates, not the campaigns, not the commissions.
But there's little doubt this
Bill Clinton has actually abused women, and Hillary has bullied, attacked, shamed, and intimidated his victims.
will come up. It's bound to be a battle royale in this debate, round 2. And today, Senator John McCain joined that growing number of GOP leaders who are withdrawing their support for Donald Trump. However, a few hundred people did show up outside of Trump Tower in New York today to show their support for Donald Trump. He came out and waved to a few of those supporters. And Melania Trump, of course, standing by her husband as well, calling his words unacceptable and offensive, but saying that she has forgiven him and she hopes the American people will do that too. Jen. You know, you're right. The past 36 hours have been absolutely incredible, unlike any race I think anyone has ever seen here in the United States. And as you heard some of those comments there that were played, you heard some of the defections from the Republican Party. Really, the order of business at this point here in St. Louis at Washington University is to get prepared for this debate. Everybody's just getting ready for that. What will be said at the debate? How much will be said at the debate? That's up for grabs. I mean, you know, the first debate at Hofstra a couple of weeks ago today, as a matter of fact, we were talking about how epic it could be because you just don't really know what Donald Trump would say, just don't know what Hillary Clinton would say. Well, the game has changed dramatically over the past 36 hours, Melissa.
Absolutely. And Governor Rick Scott and Senator Marco Rubio, they have been supporters of Trump. How have they responded to all of these comments coming to light?
Interestingly enough, like many of the other Republicans, they have denounced what was said and what was caught on that hot mic in that Access Hollywood interview, but stopped short. Rick Scott did and Mark Rubio of saying they were not going to support him. They just denounced those remarks. In fact, Rick Scott eventually just turned the conversation back to what he said he's been talking about and watching for the past few days, and that's, of course, the hurricane coverage. Did mention that he is not supporting, does not condone those remarks and finds them very bad, but he didn't say he was not going to support him. Of course, you know, he's a head of a super PAC that raises a lot of money and has put a lot of ads out for Donald Trump in the state of Florida.
It'll be interesting for sure to see how this plays out tonight. Switching gears here now, Hillary Clinton, she has a new problem as well. She's facing WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
They published speeches that she made in the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, they call these things the October surprises, if you will. We thought the October surprise of a couple of weeks ago was the Alicia Machado comments. And then, of course, the major October surprise here was, you know, this release of these Access Hollywood interviews, those recorded mic interviews. But really, on the Clinton campaign, the release of these WikiLeaks conversations, and actually what it is she was giving speeches to some executives. And you'll remember Bernie Sanders wanted all of this stuff released when he was running against Hillary Clinton, and well, now WikiLeaks has released that information. And to be honest with you, it probably would have been a lot bigger of a conversation had it not been for this October surprise with Trump. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out for the rest of her campaign and beyond.
Absolutely. And lastly, tonight's debate, it's different from what we've seen before. Can you kind of describe what we can expect?
Yeah. All right, so here's the format. The first debate was actually a one-on-one debate, and you had Lester Holt, who came up with the questions. The candidates had no idea what those questions would be. They would just answer them as they came, and you saw kind of what happened after that. They went back and forth at each other. This debate is a bit different. It's more of a town hall format. What you have are 40 people who are from the St. Louis area who consider themselves uncommitted voters, meaning they haven't picked one side or the other, and they will sit on either side of those candidates, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and then they'll pose questions to the moderators, who are Martha Raddatz from ABC and CNN's Anderson Cooper. And then Anderson Cooper and CNN will also have their own questions, and then, of course, you'll have questions that come from social media, Facebook, Twitter, and the like. The candidates have no idea what those questions are. Martha Raddatz and Anderson Cooper have no idea what the questions are from those 40 people who are going to be posing them until they see them, and then they will present those questions. Even the committee putting together presidential debates has no idea what those questions are. So it's safe to say, Melissa, that this issue with this Access Hollywood and the WikiLeaks release will come up. How soon it will come up, how much it will dominate the conversation tonight, we don't know. But a couple weeks ago, I used the word epic, Melissa. I think that undersells this completely. It's going to be way beyond epic on this debate tonight.
I totally agree. It'll be interesting to see. Thank you, Rod Carter, live in St. Louis.
We'll be watching.
Oh, yeah.
It has been. We are really kind of, Mel, in some uncharted territory when it comes to presidential campaigns. We've not seen anything like this before. So exactly what is going to happen inside this auditorium on that stage tonight for that debate really kind of is anyone's guess.
I took out furniture. I moved on her like a...
Donald Trump's words have shaken his campaign to levels we have not seen this presidential season.
I said it. I was wrong. And I apologize.
And then an apology for a decade-old conversation caught on a hot mic when he did not know he was being recorded. And now it could and likely will play out once again on a national stage as Trump and Democratic challenger Hillary Clinton square off for their second debate.
I'm expecting a really, really strong turnout.
Bruce Level, executive director of the National Diversity Coalition for the Trump campaign, told me today he is not sure if this latest bombshell revelation is going to have an impact on tonight's debate. Are we going to hear about this tape release, and what are we going to hear?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure it's possible. I don't know where the moderator is going to go with this, but if it comes up, he'll address it like anything else.
Over the past day or so, there have been a number of calls for Trump to quit. He reiterated on Twitter that is not going to happen, even today, calling those Republican defectors self-righteous hypocrites.
It's the typical people who were never really on board with him.
But those who support Clinton say enough is enough, and he should go.
Tells us exactly who he is. It's just the latest in a long litany of racist, sexist, misogynistic, really hate-filled comments that he has made.
Lavelle says it goes much deeper, though, and that Trump's words are a wake-up call to everyone.
I think what this has brought is, like I said earlier, is that we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing as individuals and citizens talking behind closed doors?
So here's how the debate is going to shake out tonight. 2 weeks ago, you'll remember at Hofstra University, it was basically the moderator, Lester Holt, and then the two candidates answering his questions. Yelling back and forth, a whole lot of that. But tonight is going to be different. There are going to be 40 people who are undecided voters. They say they have not decided who they're going to vote for. They're from the St. Louis area. They will pose questions, and then the moderators will pose questions as well. That is Martha Raddatz from ABC and Anderson Cooper from CNN. And then they'll also take some questions on social media. So not exactly sure what we can expect, but it's pretty safe to say, Mel, we could probably expect some fireworks. You know what, Melanie, and you don't even know the half of it. Within just the last hour or so, with a couple of hours before that debate is set to start here at Washington University, Donald Trump did something that I don't think any candidate has ever done. He held a Facebook Live session and a photo opportunity, but it wasn't just that. It was who he held that with. I want you to take a look at some video, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. He held this Facebook Live moment and photo op with 4 women who are accusing Bill Clinton of sexual misconduct, and I should say 3 women, and one who's accused rapist was represented by Hillary Clinton in 1975. Kathleen Willey, Juanita Broderick, Paula Jones, and Kathy Shelton appeared alongside Donald Trump at a conference table to make remarks that were, again, broadcast on Facebook and captured by the traveling press pool. Each woman had a brief statement. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this in a campaign ever happen before. Within an hour to 2 hours before a debate, a candidate holding a Facebook Live session with the women who are accusing the opponent's husband of sexual assault. All right, before all of this began, if you come back out here to me live, I'll show you what I'm talking about here in terms of people filing in. As you can see, a lot of people have already started making their way into the arena here at Washington University before this debate. And again, before this day ever got here, a lot of unprecedented things had already happened in this campaign. Take a look at what I'm talking about.
I took out furniture. I moved on her like a...
Donald Trump's words have shaken his campaign to levels we have not seen this presidential season.
I said it. I was wrong, and I apologize.
And then an apology for a decade-old conversation caught on a hot mic when he did not know he was being recorded. And now it could and likely will play out once again on a national stage as Trump and Democratic challenger Hillary Clinton square off for their second debate.
I'm expecting a really, really strong turnout.
Bruce Level, executive director of the National Diversity Coalition for the Trump campaign, told me today he is not sure if this latest bombshell revelation is going to have an impact on tonight's debate. Are we going to hear about this tape release, and what are we going to hear? How is that going to be
I don't
addressed?
know. I don't know. I'm sure it's possible. I don't know where the moderator is going to go with this, but if it comes up, he'll address it like anything else.
Over the past day or so, there have been a number of calls for Trump to quit. He reiterated on Twitter that is not going to happen, even today, calling those Republican defectors self-righteous hypocrites.
It's the typical people who were never really on board with him.
But those who support Clinton say enough is enough and he should go.
Tells us exactly who he is. That's just the latest in a long litany of racist, sexist, misogynistic, really hate-filled comments that he has made.
Lavelle says it goes much deeper, though, and that Trump's words are a wake-up call to everyone.
I think what this has brought is, like I said earlier, is that, we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing as individuals and citizens talking behind closed doors?
Well, again, it was not behind any closed doors that this Facebook Live took place, and that is what, with those 4 women and Donald Trump telling reporters there that the women asked to be on that panel and they wanted to have this discussion, and he billed it to them as a part of the preparation for tonight's debate, Melanie. If this is a part of the preparation for the debate, you can only wonder what's going to happen when the actual debate starts here in the next 55 minutes or so. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life on a campaign.
Uncharted territory. You and I have covered a lot of elections, but I think you have the front seat right now to what could be an explosive night. Very quickly, what is the energy in the air? Are people just super anxious and anticipatory of what's going to happen next?
I guess it depends on who you are and what you're looking at here. From my understanding, a lot of the Democratic strategists kind of just went during that Facebook Live moment and then kind of took off to figure out what to do next. So I guess it depends on who you are that you get that response. But, a lot of people are anticipating something major happening during this debate. We'll see. There's sure to be some fireworks for sure.
It is the ultimate chess game, and we're about to watch it all play out. Right
now on News Channel 8 at 11.
A plea for answers. Tonight, the parents of a 4-year-old little girl taken from her home want their daughter back.
Let her come home. She's my baby. And I'm worried sick about her. Please, I'm begging.
Where investigators are at right now in the search for Rebecca Lewis. And the debate before the debate. You won't believe what happened just minutes prior to the epic presidential showdown. Good evening, everyone. I'm Melanie Michael.
And I'm Rod Carter, live at Washington University in St. Louis. And you're talking about those moments just before the debate. I'm going to tell you about another unprecedented moment that happened 2 hours before the debate as well.
Very interesting night indeed. Thank you, Rod. We'll check back in with you in just a few minutes live in St. Louis. Co-anchor News Channel 8's Rod Carter live in St. Louis tonight. You had a front row seat to something that I think was historical, unprecedented, something we have never seen before.
Yeah, those are great words because they all fit. And I mean, it was a repeated situation from the moment that you just talked about with the presser on live on Facebook before the debate ever started to the actual debate itself. And if you look around, we're in the spin room now, and this room was packed a while ago, but now a lot of the people have started to make their way out of here. A lot of people are going to be spinning exactly what happened and who won this debate come tomorrow. But I can tell you, the debate before the debate is already started. The Clinton campaign calling what Donald Trump did on Facebook Live a stunt and saying that it is continuing a destructive race to the bottom. And again, that was all before the debate ever got started. The debate started with head nods and no handshake. Then the question, which came from one of the undecided voters on stage, a question about role modeling what the youth should see from leaders in America. But soon it turned to the one thing everyone has been talking about all weekend long.
I moved on her like a...
We received a lot of questions online, Mr. Trump, about the tape that was released on Friday. As you can imagine, you called what you said locker room banter. You described kissing women without consent, grabbing their genitals. That is sexual assault. You bragged that you have sexually assaulted women. Do you understand that?
No, I didn't say that at all. I don't think you understood what was said. This was locker room talk.
What we all saw and heard on Friday was Donald talking about women, what he thinks about women, what he does to women, And he has said that the video doesn't represent who he is. But I think it's clear to anyone who heard it that it represents exactly who he is.
If you look at Bill Clinton, far worse, minor words, and his was action. His was what he's done to women. There's never been anybody in the history of politics in this nation that's been so abusive to women. So you can say any way you want to say it, but Bill Clinton was abusive to women. Hillary Clinton attacked those same women.
Also a great deal of conversation about Obamacare and what should be done to fix it. And then there was WikiLeaks, the question about whether it's okay to be two-faced, which Hillary Clinton turned to a discussion about hacking and Russia. But the final question, which garnered laughs, can each candidate say one thing positive about the other?
I respect his children. His children are incredibly able and devoted, and I think that says a lot about Donald.
She doesn't quit. She doesn't give up. I respect that.
I spoke with Dr. Bob Beatty, a political science professor, to get his take on what we heard tonight.
I'm sort of calling this debate for Donald Trump a base debate. The big problem for him is he needs to expand that base to win this election. So we go into debate 3 as still needing for him to expand his base.
And that is definitely going to be the trick. So we talked about at the very beginning of the debate where they walked out, they did not shake hands. Well, they did shake hands eventually at the end and then made their way out to wherever they were headed. And all the folks came out here to the spin areas to kind of give their take on the debate. Of course, on Monday, you'll hear from different sides on who won the debate and who didn't win the debate. All of that stuff is going to be up for speculation. But I can tell you, going into debate number 3, it's going to be another epic moment. It's just, you know, this, Melanie, this election has never ceased to amaze me so far. We've seen so many different things, and today was just those 2 things, the pre-debate live Facebook and then the non-handshake. It's just things we've never seen in an election.
You and I have covered a lot of elections in our time, and I tell you what,
yeah.
I know that both of us have never seen anything quite like this. Rod Carter, live for us tonight in St. Louis.
It was something.
Thank you so much, Rod.